Hello, fellow fantasy sports fans. It is time to release the hounds. Welcome to MFSN, the Hub Fantasy Basketball Waiver Wire Show every Thursday, 4:45 p.m. Eastern, 1:45 p.m. Pacific. We are on Waiver Wire Week 5, NBA Week 6. I'm here with Casey Vlad to the Moan Scheinvold and Ross the Balls.
Hey, everybody, I'm Ross the Boss, and I want to talk basketball waiver wire with you, Cowboy. What a great week of NBA so far, guys. I mean, Lamelo Ball, we were talking about him earlier. I mean, he is just, for a second-year player, he is so, and he's like 20 years old, too. He's very young. I mean, just his stat line alone last night, 36 points, like over, it was almost a triple-double. I mean, that's what he did. And he shot a three at the end to almost win the game until Greek Freak won the game. But it was an unbelievable, that guy's unbelievable. I hope you have him on your team.
Well, he's one of those players that, you can capitalize on in his rookie year like you did last year, Ross, and you can capitalize him on his sophomore year, too. After this, you're going to have to pay premium price. Yeah. There's no way in anymore. He's been doing it all season. So, guys, remember, we're talking 60% and under in rostership on Yahoo. We're gonna go guards first. We'll go, point guard, shooting guard. If somebody's a shooting guard, small forward, we all know that the NBA is a bit positionless these days. But we're going to start with the smaller guys just to focus on that. Give me a top guy on your list, Ross.
So this guy's over 60%, but I just want to prove a point why it's important to keep track what's going on in the NBA. So the head coach of the New York Knicks said, Kemba Walker, you're no longer in the rotation. You're going to be on the bench for almost the whole game, which it was last game. Alec Burks, who we talked about every season. We always bring his name up in waiver wire. But this year, I know he's like 65%. So I know I'm breaking the rule, but I just want to give an example real quick to the audience. Alec Burks, I picked up him in our league, and you and Casey both made fun of me for doing that. And I said, okay, we'll see. And you know what? He's been averaging in the past 2 weeks, 17 points a game, 2 steals, 5 rebounds, 2. Even the assists aren't that great. It's 2 assists, but doesn't matter. He's playing 30 minutes a game on a really good team with the New York Knicks. And Alec Burks is somebody that I picked up just because of the Kemba Walker news, and that's why it's important to keep up what's going on in the NBA. But I'll talk about our cover guy, Pat Mills, and that's somebody I couldn't pick up because some bozo already has him in our league. But he's actually in the past 2 weeks, he's averaging 16 points a game and only 2 rebounds, only 2 assists. That doesn't matter. He's in the rotation. He's playing 32 minutes a game on a very good Brooklyn team, and that's why he's on our cover this week. Pat Mills will just get better and better, and I don't see Kyrie Irving coming back in the future anywhere soon. I don't know about you guys, but I think Mills is our starting point guard for a while.
Okay,
I'm with you.
Firstly,
all right,
let me just say this. We made fun of you because you thought it was Ellis Burks from the Boston Red Sox of 25 years ago. It had nothing to do with the fact that you picked up Alec Burks. But secondly,
Alec Burks. Yeah.
I think Patty Mills is a great pickup. Obviously, the Australian, I think he won Player of the Year in Australia for several years before he even came over to the United States. And he's always been a solid point guard. He always puts up good numbers. Another guy I want to mention is Anthony Simons in Portland. Dan, you know this, but Dame Lillard was just injured or is said to be out for at least the next couple of weeks. And Simons was already averaging almost 30 points a game, 30 minutes a game, and putting up good stat lines. Now his playing time is even more secure. I think he's as good as Patty Mills in terms of a pickup this week at that point guard, shooting guard position.
And he has a great afro too, so it's a good reason to pick him up.
Yep. Now listen, this is a good thing to highlight on this show because Casey's talking about a player to pick up that can help you win now in a particular way, whereas Patty Mills is somebody that we think probably can help you for the whole year. Because I agree, Kyrie Irving is not coming back. I make this joke all the time,
that's a big statement. You don't think he'll come back at all during the year?
Well, he was right about Mike Trout, so I'll give him credit.
How about Ben Simmons? What's your opinion on Ben Simmons?
Well, that was the question I had for you guys. Are those two now just droppable?
Kyrie Irving has been dropped in our league.
Because you can't use an IR spot, at least in our league, for either of them because they're not injured, correct?
Right,
I think but Ben Simmons, I have him in IR, not in our league, in a different league, yes. So you got to check your league. I have him in IR still because it's I can have 4 people in IR. But I don't know. I mean, I always hear rumors about him being traded and then he's not being traded. I think he'll be traded by Christmas time. That's my opinion. I think if you have him on your team right now, just hold on to him unless you're in desperate need. But I haven't heard anything the past couple of weeks.
Okay, now I'm just going to say this. On our network, one of our greatest strengths is that we always are going to tell the truth, at least in the end. So I've got to correct some things. We never thought that Ross thought it was Ellis Burks. That didn't happen. We didn't even tease him about Alec Burks. I didn't even know he picked him up.
I enjoyed that comment. I thought it was good.
I thought it was a great comment. I love the joke. Casey, keep it coming.
I loved it, Case. Keep it coming.
But we're also going to have some.
But
some
Ellis
journalistic
Burks was
integrity.
an awesome outfielder for the Red Sox.
Oh, he was like 30-30 guy at one time. He was unbelievable.
272 average in 1986 on RBI.
Wow,
baseball.
you're like Rayman.
That's
over
true.
there.
I remember.
Well, it's because we played that game a lot. Okay, I'm going to
lot.
mention another guard, Pat Connaughton. Pat Connaughton, over the last 30 days, ranks as the 45th best player. And
top 60. Again, good call. Top 60 guard.
Why is he 52%? Why is he only 52% rostered, guys? What's your thought on that?
He was hurt for a while. He came back, and I really don't know why. I guess because there's so much talent on that Milwaukee team, but people overlook him.
See, but the thing is, if you're getting 27, close to 28 minutes a game, and your shooting percentages are both pretty good. I mean, his free throw percentage is a little bit low for a guard, but it seems like it's just kind of bad luck because he hasn't shot that much.
If I remember correctly, his minutes were up because there were injuries to the backcourt, and so he was more a reserve who was getting big minutes. And I think the assumption always was that as the team got healthy, he would lose his job. But he's just been playing so well and producing so well, they can't take him off the floor. So I think that probably suppressed his numbers some.
Right, but you just made a key point, Casey. In fantasy basketball, one of the things you have to pay attention to is simply the situation of the moment. People can play their way into massive playing time, and they can play their way out of it. It's
right.
Just like what happened with Kemba Walker.
And absolutely. And sticking with the Bucks, another example of that is Grayson Allen, who qualifies at shooting guard and small forward. So he kind of qualifies here. Dante DiVincenzo for years has been the starter there. And I've been a big fan of his because I think he's really underrated. And he had some foot tendon issue during the playoffs last year. And everybody assumed that he'd be healthy and coming back. There's still no timetable for his return, but I'm not even sure he's going to get his job back because Grayson Allen is putting up the same numbers, if not better numbers than DiVincenzo was in that same role in Milwaukee's offense.
Has anybody told you kind of look like Grayson Allen? Has anybody said that to you before?
That hurts.
Wow, that's a
low
blow.
Is that an insult?
Yeah, but he's
a professional athlete, and all of a sudden I'm insulting you. Look at Grace. Just compare the two pictures and tell me I'm not wrong. Okay, good.
Let me just say this.
Another
Casey,
guard that I love, he plays for the Lakers. The Lakers have some injuries. I mean, the almighty LeBron James is out for at least 10 days. He's COVID, but also his stomach and, stomach pull, everything else. So Malik Monk, who's like somebody they signed during the offseason, there's really no press on him. He's been their shooter. I mean, he's been making shots. He's Mr. Offense. I think when LeBron's gone, this is a great streaker for you. Malik Monk could be a streaker. They play the Clippers tomorrow. Let's see how many points he has and how well he does. He's getting a lot more minutes. He's in the rotation, of course, and I watched him in his last game against Sacramento, and he was tearing it up. I mean, he was the reason the Lakers won that game. So Malik Monk could be a good streaker pick for you guys for this week.
I like it a lot. And listen, these are the kinds of names you really need to be paying attention to on your wire. You would be surprised at how much value you can get. And also, I've been shocked by this every year. A guy gets hot, take a Pat Connaughton or Malik Monk. You could find that this guy ends up a top 50 player. It happens all the time. I'm not saying it happens every time. I'm just saying it happens all the time that can happen. So keep an eye out for these things. Pounce on trends that you see, especially with the younger players who are gaining confidence. Another guy that I like is I like Eric Bledsoe, actually. I say this with a little bit of a tempered expectation. I'm not saying he's going to dominate your league. He will not finish in the top 50. He's not one of these guys. But he ranks 87th overall in the last 30 days. He's getting lots more playing time. Maybe it's because Kawhi is not back. I don't know when Kawhi is coming back. Do we have any update on that?
I don't think he's going to be back.
He
until
doesn't
the
even show up to the games anymore, which he was coming to the beginning of the year. He was coming to the games. Now he doesn't even show up. I understand maybe he doesn't want to be, maybe COVID. I don't know, but he's staying at home, and there's no update on him. But Klay Thompson's coming back in 2 weeks. Watch out.
Watch out. Meanwhile, Eric Bledsoe is taking the place of Kawhi Leonard, who apparently is hanging out on the east side of the earth with Kyrie Irving. I make that joke every time, but it just never gets old.
It always kills. I love that joke. Keep going.
You got to pick your times. But Okay, guys, there are plenty of guys that are fringe owns. You wonder if you should pick them up. So we can talk about players to pick up. I think we should also talk a little bit about players that I would shy away from picking up, even though they're putting up the value. Derrick Rose is that player for me. Derrick Rose, he's a great guy. He's a great player. Hugely talented. Former MVP. I loved him even in his college days in Memphis. But Derrick Rose is injury prone and he's a fringe own in terms of his numbers. That's not the recipe I'm looking for. You guys agree with that?
1,000%. I mean, yes. I mean, that's why he's not really respected in the fantasy world that much in basketball. Or
he's still
baseball.
He's 56% roster.
Yeah, and this is a former MVP.
And he's on a good team. The Knicks carry him a little bit.
Knicks are a really good team. I think they're one of the top teams in the East. But you're 100% right, Dr. Dan Ratner. He's somebody you just can't count on him in every game. He's 20 points one game, then 2 points the next game. You don't know what you're going to get with him. You're right.
So how about this? Any injury stashes? Guys that are injured that we think are coming back pretty soon and are going to be valuable.
Yeah, I mean, John Wall announced that he wants to come back and play. He's not hurt. He just said, you know what? I want to be traded. Stash me. I'm not going to play until I get traded. But now he changed his tune. He wants to play now for Houston. I love John Wall. I love Paul Wall, the rapper. I love him too. I love anybody named Wall I love. So John Wall, yes, I like him. I still think he has some gas in that tank. And I just mentioned his name before, and I have him on my fantasy team, is Klay Thompson. You guys laughed at me when I drafted him in our league. You said, Klay Thompson, that guy hasn't played in 2 years.
This is the Ellis Burks
Who's laughing now?
Oh my goodness.
We did not laugh at him.
I have the Splash Brother, and you don't have Steph Curry, so what are you going to do?
I don't know, but listen, one thing I love about this network is if you want to check out whether we laughed at Ross when he drafted Klay Thompson, you can go see it.
No, don't look.
We have footage of that draft. We did not laugh. It's right there. All.
In fact, we might have actually said good call.
We did. We definitely did. It was a brilliant call.
Fine. You caught me. Go ahead.
All right. A couple other guys that now these are more potential fringe owns, but let's say you've got just a roster spot and you got an injured spot. I think you could do a lot worse than Justin Holiday. I'm going to say this with one point tempering it. He usually is a great 3-point shooter and steals guy. For some reason, he is not stealing the ball this year. I don't know what it is. If Justin Holiday continues to not steal the ball, he's not ownable. So just keep that in mind, but you could stash him. Another stash that I think could be pretty good is Joe Harris. He's out 4 to 8 weeks, I believe. When he comes back, and this is especially if you have a team that is weak in 3-point shooting, scoop up a guy like that. You might as well. Listen, if you need the injured roster spot, cut him then. That's fine. Make sure you know your league rules. Use every roster spot to the best availability you can. And guys, let's talk about other guards. Point guards.
Let me tell you about somebody else that's really been doing great the past couple of weeks. Sorry, Frank Jackson. Are you for real? Frank Jackson plays for Detroit, and he's playing great right now, averaging 14 points a game and 2 assists and 2 rebounds. Frank Jackson is in the rotation in Detroit. I love this guy, former Duke player. If you need a guard, I feel he'll just get better and better as the season goes on. Frank Jackson,
awesome.
Detroit Pistons. And Caldwell Pope is another guard I love. Plays for the Washington Bullets. No, I'm just kidding. The Washington Wizards. I know they're not the Bullets, Casey.
No, but Ross likes to stick by his names. He's loyal.
So
he's a traditionalist.
So Caldwell Pope, he's been getting like 30 minutes a game the past couple of weeks, averaging 14 points. He's been shooting the ball a lot in Washington. I don't think the Washington Wizards are a bad team. I mean, they used to be the laughing stock of the league. Not anymore. But I mean, they have some really good players, and Kuzma. They have some great synergy there with Beal, Kuzma. I mean, they're going to be good, and what Caldwell Pope is doing there is really good. So those two guys I like as pickups if you need any help in the guard position.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just say this though. Case, I'm sorry, I'll let you go in a sec, but even if the team is bad, truly bad on an NBA level, it doesn't matter. Look at the fantasy number. I know you agree with that, Ross, but I just want to get in that point. Go ahead, Case.
I was going to say, I think Ja Morant is currently hurt, and he's a tough guy to replace, but they have two guys in their backcourt who are actually not playing terrible right now, and will get some pretty good minutes in his absence. One is DeAnthony Melton, And the other is Tyus Jones. I think Tyus Jones is a Dookie also, if we're sticking with the Duke theme here.
And D'Anthony Melton I saw play in high school. The high school he went to is right up the street from me, so I'm very familiar with D'Anthony Melton.
Those are guys who are playing big minutes. Tyus Jones has been playing over 25 minutes a game in the last week. D'Anthony Melton's getting over 20 minutes a game, and I think that's going to go up until Morant gets back. And so if you're looking for somebody to replace an injured stud, those are guys who will at least get the minutes for you there until your star gets back.
Now, let me just jump in with one other point. When you're trying to win these head-to-head matchups, sometimes it's going to come down to one or two categories. Casey, you made this point, I think, 2 weeks ago. You want to look around Thursday, right around the time we're doing the waiver wire.
Yeah.
Look at your matchup. See where you're at, because you could be very surprised. You could be like, well, I don't know why, but I was terrible in rebounds this time. I'm having trouble in certain stats, but I could win turnovers if I just don't even play anybody, and I only play this kind of player. If you need a player like that, Cantabius Caldwell Pope, as Ross pointed out, is a great pickup. He's got position flexibility at point guard, shooting guard, and small forward. Meanwhile, he's got more steals than anybody on my watch list other than Gary Payton II, but he ranks higher because he has 32 three-pointers.
Dan, we should call him Little Gloves.
Little Gloves. That one. Shout out to our old friend Jim Coop, who was a bit of a sociopath. We can talk about that, Jim, if you want.
He really is.
I'm just going to say it.
I'm assuming
he knows
still
he is.
Yeah.
He knows he is. All right, so, Caldwell Pope, he's the kind of player that you might look and say, I need three-pointers and I need steals. And then you go and you look on your watch list or maybe your player list and you look, well, who qualifies? He qualifies. In the last month, 32 three-pointers, 25 steals. That's a great line. And he shoots a lot of free throws too, and very well. So if those are the three categories that are going to win it for you, he's the perfect player for you. All right, guys, any other guards that we're going to say before we move on to the forwards?
I'm good. I gave all my stuff. Those are the guys. I mean, we gave a lot of guards play. So.
Well, listen, if somebody comes up, we can, you can always try to bring it up and I will suppress it. No, I'm kidding. I'll let it happen. But guys, let's move to small forward / power forward. We can talk about either one. There's some names in here that are kind of perennially waiver wire guys. I love when you play this many years, you start to see guys that are just on and off waiver wires all the time. Jay Crowder is one of them. I'm just going to mention him. So
yep.
I just picked him up again. I've already owned him once this year. He's the perfect guy that you can fill in and also feel totally free to cut. It's a great kind of pickup. Sometimes you pick up a guy and you're like, I don't know. I'm going to have to hold on to this guy because I could never cut him until he's really bad. Jay Crowder's always going to be exactly who he is. That means you pick him up when he's useful. You cut him when he's not. Somebody else picks him up. He'll be back available again. But I still think he's a pretty good pickup right now, especially if you need rebounds and threes, decent shooting percentages, and he gets a lot of steals too.
And he has great hair too. I mean, he has that little ponytail. He has that like reggae thing coming at the back of his head. Kind of what Henry has for the Titans. I mean, he has that cool hair that I want to grow too.
I want to see that.
Do it.
Everybody wants to see that, Ross.
Yeah.
See if you can do it. All right, Case, jump in with some forwards here.
Let's go, Case.
I'll give you two. One is one of Jay Crowder's teammates. Cam Johnson is another one of those players. He's kind of similar, Cameron Johnson, to Jay Crowder. Not going to wow you with anything, but he's going to be consistent. He's going to be ranked in that 110 range, I think, of fantasy players. He gets 25-plus minutes a game. The other guy is Memphis again. I must just have a love affair with Memphis today. Is Brandon Clark.
Walking in Memphis by Mark Cohen. I love that song.
Love it. He's from my hometown.
Mark Cohen?
Yes, Shaker Heights, Ohio.
Can you sing a verse of the song for me right now?
And I was walking in Memphis.
Perfect. I love that. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, keep going, Case. I'm sorry.
So anyway, Brandon Clark is getting more and more minutes because Steven Adams is playing pretty poorly and falling out of, from what I've read, falling out of favor there in the rotation there. So he and Jaren Jackson Jr., the JJJ, are going to be kind of tandem up a little bit, which is a really nice setup for him. So he could put in some surprise numbers for you too as his numbers get up. He's not going to wow you with any one statistic, but he can grab rebounds and he can even block. He's averaging almost a block a game. So those peripherals are very helpful.
All right, Ross, you jump in with somebody.
So Cameron Johnson, I agree with you guys. I like him. And the reason I like him so much this week is that Booker is not going to play until probably next week. He is hurt and they're playing Golden State again tomorrow. And Cameron Johnson, when Booker left the game last time, he filled in he was great. I mean, he was unbelievable. So I like Cameron Johnson this week. It's a great pickup. You want to pick him up now. because his playing time, he'll probably play 30 minutes probably tomorrow and probably 30 minutes on Sunday. So go ahead. I watched this guy play. I didn't know who he was until I was watching the Laker game a couple nights ago, and this guy plays for Sacramento, and this guy has another great afro. I love this kid. His name's Chiminzi Mitu. And you're saying, what's Chiminzi Mitu? He's a power forward. He's been averaging the past 2 weeks 9 points a game, 8 rebounds, Casey Steinfeld. Yeah, I said it. 8 rebounds a game and averaging. He's been playing around 25 minutes a game the past 2 weeks. His playing time is going to go up. This guy dunks. This guy blocks. He does everything you want out of a young power forward. I love this kid. I think you should pick him up immediately, Casey Steinfeld. I like this kid a lot. Another guy we talked about him last week. You just told me to
pick up Cameron Johnson. I can't pick them both up.
Okay, not only that, but hold on. Let's also note Ross actually already owns Chiminzi Mitu.
Don't tell them until the end. Okay, fine. I do own him, but I that's a good example. Like me just sitting around watching the Lakers and Sacramento game, and I'm seeing this guy play, and he's like blocking Anthony Davis's shot. I mean, this guy's doing everything, and it's a good example. Like, why is he playing so much? Because he's doing unbelievable things in the game. So I picked him up before Casey did. I was happy about that. Terrence Mann for the Clippers. This guy will still keep getting playing time because I don't think I don't see what's his name coming back anytime soon. Who's the star of the Clippers that hasn't played all year?
Kawhi Leonard.
Kawhi Leonard. He's not coming back until March. I heard that's the rumor in LA. But Terrence Mann for me, I like him a lot. And also another Clipper I like is Marcus Morris Sr., not Jr., Marcus Morris Sr. He was injured. He's back. And he's playing like 30 minutes a game, and he just doesn't shoot 3-pointers, but he gets rebounds and all that other stuff too. He's not a bad pickup.
He's another guy very like Jay Crowder. He can put up lots of good points.
And you can cut him anytime you want.
You can cut him anytime. He's just one of these back end guys that is really useful.
Yeah.
All right, another guy that I'm really coming to like a lot more. He sounds like he's British to me, but he's not. Dorian Finney-Smith. This sounds like something like from production of Mary Poppins or something. But that's not what he's like. He plays in the last month over 30 minutes a game. He doesn't shoot very well from the free throw line, or at least he hasn't so far this season, but he barely shoots from the free throw line. He hits threes. He's scoring points. He gets rebounds, but mostly he gets steals. This guy gets steals. He does not turn the ball over. His shooting percentage is high. Again, you want to look at the asset. Which categories is this player working for? And that's the player you may want at a given time. I love working with 2 or maybe even 3 players like this that you can cut anytime. Now, of course, in our league, you can only make 4 moves a week, so you got to be careful about when you make those moves. That's another reason to check in Wednesday or Thursday and see which kind of moves do I actually need to make. So he's one of my top forward pickups. He's got small forward and power forward as well. Casey, I'll swing it back to you.
Those were the big ones for me. I also have on here Thaddeus Young in San Antonio. He tends to be one of those jack of all trades kind of big men that puts up the peripheral numbers. He won't play the big minutes that some of these other guys do, but he's one of those veterans. So in 15 minutes is so efficient that he can help you compete. Taj Gibson is the same kind of player there with the Knicks, although they both qualify at center. I know we haven't gotten to center yet, but they qualify at power forward as well.
All right, Ross, I'm going to mention one other player, then I'll throw it back to you. Herbert Jones, I'm not saying he's the best pickup, but he's playing big minutes, and he steals the ball like crazy. I mean, he just constantly getting steals. A lot of times people aren't going to pick up a player like Herbert Jones because his point total is simply too low. Everybody's thinking about points. That's just one category. I understand it, but
I'm into obscure 80s references today. I don't know, because I keep hearing Howard Jones in my head.
You want me to sing that too?
Yeah.
Listen, no, you know those songs, right? No.
I feel scared? I do. Sorry, go ahead.
But I won't stop and falter. Okay. Ross, I'm going to throw it to you now before I start singing. We covered pretty well.
The only other one, if you need points and maybe some assists, Eric Gordon of Houston. He's playing like 32 minutes a game in the past 2 weeks. He's been, again, he's not going to win your league, but he's not going to lose your league. But he's been playing a lot of minutes, and
he'll play more minutes coming up.
The key of you can't
Christian
shoot,
Wood
you're not going to score. Just like Gretzky said.
Just
so there
talk
you go.
over him.
I barely know what either of you said there. We were both talking at the same time.
Fine,
Let's
go
separate
ahead.
that. Casey, what were you saying?
I was just saying that's a great call by Ross, because he's going to play more minutes coming up, because Christian Wood left last night's game with an ankle injury and was seen in a walking boot after the game. So I'm not sure exactly. They haven't listed the extent. It could just be like they did it just as a precautionary thing, but a walking boot is usually a bad sign.
It's true, but I feel like a walking boot isn't what I thought it was. When I see somebody in a walking boot, I'm like, oh, they're going to be out for a long time. Sometimes you see players in a walking boot and they're like, I'm playing tonight. You're like, wow, what was that even for? I think it's more about the taking precautions with people. How about I just want to ask about what do you guys think about Emmanuel Quickly? I know we're going back to guards, but
Emmanuel Quickly plays for the Knicks, as we all know. The thing about him is just how many minutes a game he plays. Do you have the stat of how many minutes he plays?
The last 7 days he's been averaging 29 minutes a game.
And listen,
because Walker's out. I mean, I like Quickly. It's just always been a thing about him being in the rotation and getting playing time. But if he's playing,
true. But listen, he's averaged about almost 23 minutes over the last month. The reason I bring him up is I think it's better than looking at positions is looking at stats. If you're looking at your team and you're hurting in assists, then you find the guy that works for assists. So I went to my watch list. I clicked on assists. I was just curious. And the one that popped up that was highest up on the list that it is either not injured or not owned or putting up terrible numbers otherwise is Emmanuel Quickly. So I just had to ask.
Yeah, I liked him last year. I have Burke, so I wouldn't probably pick up Quickly just because I already have a Nick guard. But I think right now it's a good pickup. Could be a streaker.
Could be a streaker. All right, guys, let's bring centers in. You can always go back to forwards. You can always go back to guards, but centers, Ross, I'm going to start with you. Who do you have on your list?
So you're very familiar with who I'm going to say. He went to UCLA. He plays for the Cleveland Cavs. He had, I believe, 7 3-point. All his points were 3-pointers a couple nights ago. He had 7 of them, 21 points. Is Kevin Love. Kevin Love is the past 2 weeks been averaging almost 13 points a game, 7.5 rebounds, close to 2 assists a game. He's been shooting threes like crazy. I mean, if you need a 3-pointer and a guy that rebounds too, I know you're saying Kevin Love, God, Russ, he gets hurt all the time. I know that. I mean, we trust me, Dan Ratner knows that he gets hurt. It breaks his heart. But I think he's playing a lot of minutes, and you know what? If you need a center, it's a good guy to pick up.
Let me add this to that, Ross. You also have to understand team context. Evan Mobley is changing the team and the way things are set up. It's opening up all kinds of different spaces. And so I think Kevin Love really can be a different player. At the same time, at this point in his career, in fantasy basketball career, he's kind of a Jay Crowder type. You might pick him up for a while and ride him while he's hot, and then you cut him if he gets injured or if he's just not playing that well. Case, how about you with centers?
I think, to me, the one of the top pickups at center this week, for those of you who have been paying attention, Bam Adebayo went down with an injury, and they're saying he's going to be out a pretty good long time. They have this guy, Dwayne Dedman, on their team who's going to pick up those minutes. And to have a center who's a rebound and block guy who's going to pick up those minutes. He hasn't shot for the best shooting percentage for a big man. You expect better than a 44%. But he gets as many rebounds as he does points. He blocks shots. He doesn't turn it over much. He even throws in a steal every once in a while. I think he's going to be the biggest benefactor of the injury to Bam Adebayo.
Okay, now I'm going to mention a player that I have mixed feelings about, because JaVale McGee, when I first encountered him, was on the Golden State Warriors when he was playing against the Cavs. So I hated him, and I loved when he went up for the dunk and just rammed it against the rim and stuffed himself. We enjoyed that in Cleveland. Then he came to play with the Cavs, and I was like, and listen, I always respected his game. He was blocking lots of shots. Great guy to defend the guys coming around the edges. But he's putting up pretty good numbers in Phoenix still. He just continues to do that. He's 31% rostered.
Struggling, so he's getting some playing time because of that.
Yeah, now meanwhile, just as an added bonus, if you go to pick him up, note his picture. It is hilarious. I wish I could show it right here.
He looks like a homeless guy. I mean, the hair. I mean, I don't think he showered in a year. I mean,
his picture in this picture, he does not. He certainly does not look homeless.
He has a scowl. It's the look on his face.
He kind of looks like he's like, I don't even know how to describe it. Check it out, guys.
Like Mr. T in the A-Team. I remember that. Exactly. I pity the fool picture. That was great.
It's an I pity
another
the
80s
fool.
reference for Casey.
It's kind
Scheinfeld.
of it's half I pity the fool, half I swallowed something disgusting.
Got it.
I vaguely remember reading somewhere that he and his mother have both won gold medals in the Olympics for basketball, which is
Him and his mom played for USC. I remember watching her play. That's how old I am. When I was a kid, she was unbelievable. They were actually twins. They were called the McGee twins, and they were awesome at USC. I mean, both the girls were all Americans. They were great players.
It's pretty rare double threat.
Yeah.
Son and mom. I wonder if anyone's ever owned a son and a mom in a fantasy league.
Great family.
Anyone else to add? We know center tends to be a thin position. Ross, give us some other options.
Boogie Nights. I
was going to ask about Demarcus
The jig
Cousins.
is up. The news is out. Okay, so Boogie Nights, if you don't know what I'm talking about Demarcus Cousins was signed from Milwaukee. Brook Lopez is hurt. He's not going to play for a while. It's not good for him for the season. I don't know what's going on, but he's going to be out a while. They signed Cousins this week. Cousins is in unbelievable shape, supposedly. I haven't seen him, but they're saying he's in shape. He is a guy that can come in shape, start playing, and put up huge numbers with the freak next to him. It's going to be a good tandem. And if you need a center that you can stash away, and as soon as he starts playing, he'll get rebounds. He'll take points away from Greek Freak. It could be a great pickup for you.
Okay, now this might become a segment, actually. I'm going to announce the unsexy pickup of the week.
Ooh.
PJ Tucker.
PJ Tucker.
How old is PJ Tucker?
Not BJ Tucker, PJ Tucker, but go on.
Tucker. That's right. Well, this guy, again, total fringe own, but he's putting up good numbers. He's getting minutes. He's playing for the Heat.
Yep.
He's always been a quality player. He's not going to hurt your team. He's going to add some value every night. You could do a lot worse than him. And I didn't even know he was center eligible until I looked recently.
Center eligible. He's in the past 2 weeks has been averaging 7 points a game, 4 rebounds, and 1 assist. Again, he's a guy that plays a lot of minutes, and I think with Bam being out, he could benefit a lot. That's a great pickup.
He really could. Okay, guys, anybody else to add before we wrap up this show?
Max Kluber, another center. He's been past 2 weeks, 9 points, 4 rebounds. He's been playing 25 minutes a game for your Dallas Mavericks. German guy. I like him. It's just, as you said, the center position is so thin right now. And if you need somebody who will get playing time, Kluber's not a bad guy to pick up.
Okay, so it's interesting because Chris Atwater just made a comment. He said Dan usually likes Maxi Cleaver. He said, what about him? I have 17 centers, so I probably won't move on that. Okay, so that's another problem you can have.
And he didn't go to an SEC school.
Well, that's true. But, Chris is a very smart player. He'd probably look past that. But it really is the case. Sometimes you have to look at your roster construction. You just don't have room, even though the player is right. The thing I like about Maxi Cleaver is he has a unique skill set. Threes and blocks, you can't find a guy who has that skill set all the time. So sometimes that's the right fit. He gets injured a little too often for my taste, but if you got an injured spot and you can plug him in there, that's great. Listen, sometimes the schedule is going to dictate things. Who do I have? I have somebody on the Sixers, and they only play twice this week. So I'm going to play the guy twice, and then I'm going to cut him because he's a back-end guy.
Boo!
Sorry, let me tell you who that is so that I don't just say I own a guy. I'm blanking on his name for some reason. Killian Hayes. Okay, so and he's Detroit. I got the whole thing wrong except for the 2 games.
But Hayes has been hurt. Is he back playing again?
He's back. He came back. Late last week. I scooped him up because to use a roster move last week for this week. Another smart thing to do.
Genius.
Guys, we're always giving you the best tips here. If you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below. We love to have comments with you and debates with you on fantasy basketball and otherwise. Please tune in tomorrow. We have our fantasy hockey waiver wire show, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. That's me, Ross, and Party Marty. Casey's sitting this one out. He's in the penalty box.
Casey can make a guest appearance, though. It'd be classic.
I would love it, Case. You think about it.
That'd be the best.
Just to
Casey
make you pronounce
I would
the
love
names.
that, in all seriousness. Tune in tomorrow and see if Casey Scheinfeld comes in for hockey.
Let's see if he does it. Thank you for watching, everybody. We will see you the same time next week.
Hey everyone, Castmaster here, overload of knowledge and part-time customer service rep for KillCliff. Wanted to announce my new KillCliff Octane CBD flavor, Killer Cliff Sickle. Yeah, that's right. It's orange and vanilla yumminess. Woo! I know your drink hole is going to be happy because I know everything. Just go to killcliff.com